And as I said earlier, this is an and, not an or. So we're trying to build conceptual understandings. It's not just math facts. Actually, Kevin made this awesome point yesterday. I forget the word you used again, but the word I use is that conceptual understandings and procedural understandings, right, these are mutually reinforcing. So fluency and a sense of number are not exclusive of one another. They support one another. Let's embrace that, right? Let's believe that, at least take a leap of faith and say, my math facts instruction, my focus on fluency, it's not just for this rote memorization, although we wouldn't mind if students had that automaticity. It's also so that their sense of number, their computational proficiencies are improved. And that's absolutely true. There is research that says that these two ideas, conceptual and procedural, are mutually reinforcing. I think Kevin used the word that they enhance one another, if I'm not mistaken. And that's absolutely correct. So that's a key piece that we know, is that they do work in conjunction with one another, but that we are not just teaching math facts. So let's work on that. When we're teaching conceptually, or more conceptually, let's reinforce math facts. When we're teaching math facts, let's reinforce patterns. Let's reinforce the principles of number, making 10, for example. Counting on, counting back. Those are principles, they are, of a sense of number sense. So let's take advantage of those things. I think we've already discussed this, but let's make sure we're all on the same page with time tests. Time tests do not teach kids, period. So, but I want to call it out there right now. That doesn't mean we don't use tests within our math facts program. It doesn't mean that they're not timed. But that's not, it's not the first, the second, the third, the fourth priority, right? It's what a test is. It's a way of measuring effectiveness. Our effectiveness as teachers, students' effectiveness in their learning. So we're not going to test math facts. We're going to teach them, okay, strategies and concepts. So we're assessing to determine what? Where is the kid right now? Where's the kid right now? In other words, what's their zone of proximal development? What kind of progress are they making? And how effective are we doing? How effective are we in our work? Okay, so that's testing. Let's not misunderstand the test. What are some key pieces to this work? And these are all represented in the elements, but that we're going to discuss. But what we're trying to do here is quite much more specifically than just teach a sense of number. One aspect of teaching a sense of number is teaching patterns. So we're going to teach patterns. That's one of the key strategies that we have at our disposal when we're teaching math facts, is to teach patterns. So I would heavily emphasize that. Practice widely, beyond math facts, time, right? All the rest of the day too, you're teaching math facts. So you're going to practice this widely. You're going to assess formatively. So you're assessing to determine the progress that students are making so that you know what to do next. You're not teaching just for did they get it or did they not get it. Another way of interpreting that, think of, and I like to make these parallels, as you know, to oral reading fluency. When I listen to a kid read, I'm not just like twiddling my thumbs until the 60 seconds is done and saying, oh, how many words correct? What am I doing? I'm listening to the errors that they make, right? I'm trying to find patterns in errors so that I can attend to those and help them improve. Similarly, with math facts, can you glean any of the patterns, patterns in the errors that they're making, so that you can assess formatively and then say, oh, okay, I think I know some of the misconceptions that are being made. And that's tricky, and certainly not something we've done, but that's the idea. And lastly, how can we involve parents? That's one of the elements. We're going to discuss that and try to develop a preliminary plan, and I'll tell you what we've done as well in my schools. Again, and not or, right? So we're looking for fluency or automaticity, and we'll make sure we define those things. Automaticity is not blind, sort of unthinking recall. No. Automaticity just means when I see the word cat, I don't say cat, I say cat. When I'm presented with the number 7 plus 4, I don't count on, right? I say 11. That doesn't mean I'm not thinking, it doesn't mean I'm not employing strategy or using my sense of number, but it means I have fluency. But I also have understanding, so it's both of those things. So our goals, again, here in having greater math facts comprehension is to develop number sense. That's not separate from, that's part of. We're trying to increase deep understanding, right? For two ways. Not only do, as my claim, and not only does the research support the fact that math facts, right, will develop a sense of number, but when students have computational fluency, what does that equip them to do? Explore the rest of mathematics more competently and more confidently so that they can further enhance their understanding. I already made this claim. I know you believe me, that just like oral reading fluency rates increasing improves students' confidence and motivation in reading, the same thing applies to computational fluency in mathematics. So motivation, sense of self-efficacy. Another key piece that we can reinforce through math facts, but that also students can use as a strategy, is decomposition and composition. So that's a strategy you can teach. It's also something that they're doing, that we're doing in our heads, whether we recognize it or not. Because what we're trying to ensure is not just, I know it today, but I can know it for tomorrow as well. So last piece here before we move into our grade level teams. These are the elements that we're going to work through today together. So we're going to make sure there's consistency of expectations. We're going to make sure that we know how we're going to measure effectiveness, not just as we see later, more programmatically, but more individually. So how are we going to assess? How are we going to teach? And there's great resources here in the Van de Waal and O'Connell books, but how are we going to teach this? Let's recognize in advance that there's going to be some students who don't get it the first time, who need differentiated supports, who need intervention, or as stated here, remediation. So not just when could we do that, but with what can we do that, who can do that, right? Proactively, because we know that's going to be a situation. Record keeping is necessary, but as I'm going to suggest, much of that can and should be done by the kid, by the students themselves. So let's prepare an efficient way of that occurring, but let's make sure we're doing that, because that's a common formative assessment. That's part of a common formative assessment, in this case for mathematics, or for math facts, excuse me. How do we involve parents? I'm all for you. I think our lives would be a lot easier if we could get new parents, or if we had better parents. Yep, I tried that, doesn't work, it'll save you some time. But what can we do? What can we do to put them in a position that they can support us? I've done this work for a long time now, this math facts type stuff, going back to when I was in California, now being in Illinois. And the most popular parent night we ever put on, and I'm telling you, standing room only, was on our computational fluency. And I had parents coming up to me after and telling me, I can do this at home. And you're thinking, oh yeah, the willing parents. No, I speak Spanish fluently, and there were Vietnamese parents in the audience, and we had headphones for them so that we could be instantaneously translated. It was all types of parents, you guys. They want to do it. They don't know what to do. This is something they can do, so let's talk about how we can get them there. I heard y'all talk about assessment, and you have it, but one of the things I heard yesterday is we have it, but we're not sure what it's telling us. So let's make sure we have that built in so we can determine the extent to which we're measuring effectiveness. And then, as I said, we can do all of the first 7, but if we don't have a plan for implementing it within our classroom and across our district, then we'll have binders. So we're going to try, with Jenny's support, especially on this last element, to make sure we know what we're doing going forward. Okay, good enough. I think we're ready to start working on the work. Can we just do some